Thank you very much for attending. I wanted to give you a very warm welcome to this session. And I hope really the topic is going to be very interesting for you. So what are we going to really do today? We'll go through a travel back in time 8 years ago. We'll start there, having a look at what were the cloud promises at that time, what everybody was expecting from the cloud, what the cloud industry was really promising to the end customers. Then we'll move to the current situation. We'll understand what are the different vendors in the space, how can we group them and find similarities there. And also, we'll have a critical look at is the current cloud industry able to deliver the promises from 8 years ago? Maybe partially, maybe yes, maybe no. We'll have a look at that. And also, finally, we'll go to the future and we'll see where we can expect in the future in terms of those promises. Okay? So that's the journey for today. So what were cloud promises 8 years ago? You probably know them by memory for sure. So it was lower TCO. On the one side, this is going to reduce your cost. Cloud is going to give you a lot of powerful capabilities to be much more agile in your business and to do things that you couldn't do before with the previous technologies. Cloud is going to be super easy to manage. It's going to be like a few clicks on a web portal and everything is magic and working. It's going to be more reliable because of the built-in resiliency there and a lot of nice technologies that make our IT services not to fail. It's going to be very flexible in pay-per-use. You know about this. It's going to be transparent and give me peace of mind as well. So with cloud, I'm relaxed, everything is working, everything is easy, and I can really concentrate on my business and not on the daily problem-solving IT topics. There's not going to be any vendor lock-ins. I'm going to be able to move my workloads between different vendors and providers in an easy way. And then I will have cloud-trusted partners that will really help me towards being more agile in my business. So those were the promises. It's not a surprise for anybody here for sure. So, second step, what's in the market today? We can differentiate mainly two different groups of providers. Let me start with the ones on your right-hand side, the mega clouds. These are giant companies, you know for sure, that are providing really astonishing, very state-of-the-art cloud products where you can do almost anything you want. So there are more and more complex offerings with a wide portfolio, very powerful, I would say, but they're also increasingly more and more difficult to use. On the left-hand side, you can see where we call the simple clouds. So they are mainly providers or vendors coming from the hosting sector or also some cloud startups that are doing quite agile there, but they are providing more basic and limited offerings there. So they don't give you all the power or the cloud benefits that the mega cloud can give you, but they are a very easy entry point. They give you a very fair price. Okay, it's limited, but if my requirements are not that complex, then there could be a good fit for me. So what are we going to do next? Once we know the cloud promises, once we know a grouping of the vendors in this space, we're going to try to match them together. So how are the promises delivered or not delivered by the current vendors? So we'll evaluate it in a very simple way. A green arrow going up means, yeah, the promise is being delivered. A red arrow going down is not that good. We're not delivering our promises as an industry there. And then there is the intermediate step where, yeah, it's partially, the promise is partially met, I would say. So let's start with the first one. What was the promise? Lower TCO. What can we see in the market today? Yes, we've improved significantly in terms of reducing cost of the IT infrastructure. However, I'm not being given all the flexibility I would expect. So typically, most of the providers are offering me bundles of VMs. A bundle, as I call it, is a package of CPU, RAM, and disk put together. and then I cannot really optimize my cost that much. So it's not that flexible, and then I need to pay for more than what I need. It's true that in the simple clouds we have very good entry points, some providers starting at $5 per month or even less, but promise is partially met. So some advantages, some progress, but still far from the original promise. Second one, powerful. You probably know a lot of providers in this space, at least Amazon Web Services in the mega cloud space, and you know how capable they are of giving me a lot of functionalities and product offerings to do very interesting things, to be honest. So then the promise is met. They're really giving me a lot of powerful capabilities to run my business in a more agile way. However, on the simple cloud side, it's not that perfect. I mean, those providers are more limited, more basic offerings, and then they are not giving me all the power I would expect. Especially, there are a lot of features that I could be lacking of. I basically describe these simple cloud offerings as just a virtual server, roughly. They provide me virtual server management capabilities, but I'm missing a lot of security capabilities, networking, share storage, some things I could expect from a higher level provider. So super easy promise. This is roughly the opposite as powerful. So by being so simple, the simple clouds are really easy to use. You just register there, start using it, and it's very easy. You don't need any learning curve there. As opposite, in the mega clouds, they are becoming increasingly complex. So you can no longer register and start using it. There's a wide variety of offerings and decisions you need to make to place your infrastructure. So the onboarding process is more difficult, it takes more time, and you really need IT experts to manage the mega cloud providers, let's say. It's not that easy. Bringing a lot of benefits, but not that easy to manage anymore. So what's next? Reliability. Simple clouds are, let me call it so, best effort clouds. They're focused on being kind of low-cost clouds. So then, obviously, you cannot expect the best reliability out of them. So they don't provide you so much resiliency, not much high availability. It's based typically on local storage that if it fails, I need to plan my backup strategy and disaster recovery. So it's quite limited there. Even on the mega cloud side, there's been some progress, but I think we're still far from where we should be. So if we look at the main vendors over there, most of them are not providing, for example, SAN storage by default. You need to pay extra if you want to have it. And if you want to build geographical resiliency, you need to do it by yourself. It's not typically the vendor who offers you capabilities to do it. So it's medium, I would say. It's not fully delivered, the promise. So flexibility and pay-per-use. Great advancements on both markets on pay-per-use. Most offerings allow you pay per minute, pay per hour. However, due to the bundled VM approach that I mentioned before, they don't really give me the flexibility I would expect. So they are forcing me to go into bundles, but I cannot fully design in many of them the size of my infrastructure or my servers. So I end up paying more than I need, and I cannot really adapt my workloads to really my needs. Additionally, in some cases, in quite a few cases, I would say, you only get the best price if you commit for a long-term contract. So it's typically 1 year to 3 years. That's the only way to get the best price. So then the providers are indirectly forcing me to commit if I want to get the best price, and that's not that flexible. So I would say mediumly addressed. Transparent peace of mind. What I would expect here from the cloud industry in the future is that I will use the example of the invoice. I would expect something very transparent and very easy to check. So if I use a certain capacity of the infrastructure, I get an easy invoice that I can easily check okay, I've used these servers for this time, okay, it works. It's not that easy, especially in the mega cloud provider. So as an industry, we're creating, I would say, complex billing models that are not that easy to understand, or the invoice is not that easy to check. It's not that transparent as I would expect. Okay, it's clear that on the simple cloud, the situation is probably better because the clouds or the offerings are more limited in that way, and then it's easier to understand them. But I think there are still quite a few steps we need to move forward there as an industry. Another point interesting here is the difficulty to predict your cost. So most of the providers charge per things like data transfer or load balancing requests that are difficult to predict for me. So when I do a cost calculation, it's hard to predict what's the workload going to be and where my cost is going to be. It's not that easy and as transparent as I would expect. Vendor locking. This really the more negative point in the industry. If you look at the examples of the original promise 8 years ago about the analogy with the power industry, or you also have a look at the ADSL industry now, both of them provide seamless migration or change from one vendor to the other. So if you want to change your power supply provider or your ADSL provider, then you just change it, and then you receive another invoice from another company, but you're not really affected. It's very seamless. So I think you agree with me that we're very far from that promise for the moment. So still a lot of work to do there. And also on the trusted partner side, on the mega clouds, we could partner with really big companies where I could have some trust. They're really big, they're financially strong, they're not going to create me problems, luckily. However, on the simple cloud side, they're typically smaller companies, sometimes even startups backed up by investment companies, which I would probably don't trust that much for my business. So, what's the summary and what can we expect in the future? Disclaimer, it's not under doubt that cloud is bringing a lot of benefits for end customers from the very wide variety of use cases. It's not under doubt. Cloud is being really great, I think. And the market evolution and numbers are there to show it. However, if we look at the promises, we're still not delivering what we promised as an industry. So you can see a summary there. We're doing better in some things, worse in some others, but still a long way to go, I would say. So if I'm like an end user looking at the cloud of my dreams, can I really have it, or what could I expect? Situations doesn't seem to be that good from that perspective. If we're somehow critical with the industry, it's not that good. It doesn't seem to be that easy for the vendors in the space to really deliver all those promises and the cloud of your dreams. There are probably technology challenges, business challenges, why in general we're not able to deliver the promises of our dreams. However, if you're still a dreamer, I think there is some hope for the future, and I would also like to ask you for 3 or 4 minutes to introduce what we're doing at my company at 1&1 in terms of cloud, because it's very well aligned with our view of the market and with our mission to deliver these promises to the customers. So I think that could be quite interesting. So who's 1&1? Probably most of you know the company. We're the leading hosting company in Europe for many years, and also a second company worldwide. Still not entering that much in the cloud business until now, but very strong on the hosting side. So then for us, cloud is a logical next step, a logical evolution. What is our goal? And this is a very challenging goal, I know. We want to be the cloud of your dreams for SMBs, mainly medium businesses, and medium to big size value-added resellers. That's where we want to be a perfect fit. So we really want to be providing all the cloud promises and a lot of power and capabilities you would expect from the cloud, however, in a very easy way. So we want to, for an SMB in a VAR, medium-sized VAR, value-added reseller, yeah, managing the complexity from the mega clouds is probably too much. I cannot really spend that much time, don't have so many resources for that. Simple clouds are probably quite limited. I don't get all the benefits from the cloud, so we want to be there in the middle. How do we do it? We've been running and operating cloud services for 6 years with our one-on-one brand, and also with the leading Spanish hosting company that the one-on-one group acquired 1.5 years ago, that was really succeeding in Spain, only in that market with the cloud. So we've taken all those technology assets and spend the last year bringing or creating really that cloud of our dreams, trying to fulfill those promises, and design it really from the scratch, learning also from our mistakes in the past, that we have done many for sure, and trying to get rid of the legacy, restart the business, spend a full year, more than 500 people working in that project to create really something different in the market. It's not that easy to differentiate in the market today, so we're trying to find a very different approach. Where are we now? We launched a new product just 1.5 months ago. I think it's a big step for us in terms of delivering our promises. It's also true that we're not at the end of the journey, so still a lot of work to do. But I would like to show you very briefly what are the steps we have taken towards being the cloud of the dream. It's not perfect for sure, but I think they're quite interesting. So, addressing the promises. Lower TCO, what are we doing there? You'll be surprised by the price. So it's really a low-cost price for the value delivered. So it's a fully featured cloud at quite surprising price point, I would say. And we also allow to save money by giving you full flexibility to scale up and down at any moment in CPU, RAM, storage, whatever dimension you want. It's powerful. As an example, SSDs by default. So we really think spinning disks are over. So just SSD, get the maximum performance, worries-free. That gives you 5 milliseconds latency guaranteed. That is great for performance. Most of the advanced features you would expect from the mega cloud providers. So it's not just a pure server, but it's advanced networking capabilities to manage your firewalls, load balancers, advanced security capabilities to manage the backups with a single interface in an easy-to-use way, and some other things. We're able to deploy 2 million different server configurations in less than 55 seconds. So you configure your server. A configuration is CPU, RAM, disk, operating system, applications. 2 million configurations, different chances, in less than a minute. Nobody is able to offer that today. So it's super easy. It's difficult to explain. I would probably suggest that you have a quick look at the product. I'm pretty sure that if you have a look just 1 minute, you realize of how easy it is. Just as an example, we're not receiving almost any calls from our customers by asking us how do I do this, or what about this option. It's very self-explanative, very easy to use. Reliability. By default, everything is SAN storage. So with the built-in redundancy that provides, service is automatically restored. I mean, obviously, if a hardware node fails, it's not affecting in general. Even if it affects the service, it's automatically restored in a few minutes. We're using state-of-the-art vendors. You can see there VMware, SolidFire. We want to make a difference in the market here. So don't want really to save costs. We want to innovate and do something different in the market. And if we need to pay for premium vendors that really deliver the capabilities and promises we want, we're happy to do it. Okay, and honestly, we're accepting less profitability due to that, but we want to differentiate and be really different in the space there. Flexibility and pay-per-use, I mentioned that before, roughly. You can pay per the minute without any commitment at all. So you get the same price for a 1 minute server, very small, than for 100 servers, very big. So there is no commitment at all. We don't even give you the choice to commit. Full flexibility, same price, always very attractive. Full flexibility to adapt my workload to my needs and be charged for that in a quite transparent way. So it's quite interesting, I would say. Transparent peace of mind. What are we trying to do here? I'll take the example I mentioned before about the checking the invoice. So checking the invoice, in this case, is less than a minute. I would like you to have a look at that because I think it's quite easy. What's the approach? You define your server. If you use it, that has a monthly price. That is very easy to understand for everybody. And then, depending on how was the percentage of the months where you use it, you are being charged. If you change your configuration, you're only charged for that certain period of time for that specific configuration. So for us, transparency is really a must. No vendor locking. I must admit that these are our less improved point. So we really need to work strongly here. Our approach in general is that we don't want to create prisoners. We're going to open all doors to US customers to export your servers and go to another provider if you need it. Because we really understand that if you have complex requirements, in some cases, it may be better a mega cloud for you. Or if you have a project that is very cost-aware, you may need a simple cloud. We want you to stay with us because you love the product, not because we keep you trapped. But still, a long way to go also for us and for the industry as a general in terms of avoiding locking and making interoperability easier. Trusted partner, as a quite big company, I think it's a $2.5 billion in revenue for the big company overall. We really think we can be a trusted partner. We have a lot of experience in our hosting business with medium businesses and value-added resellers, so we really understand the needs there. We have a huge customer care teams localized all over the world that is able to support you in your business, so I think we're quite well prepared there. We're not a minor company or a startup company there. So that's all from my side. I hope you have found it interesting. If you want to learn more, I can advise Web Stand 054 is on going up from here on the right-hand side near the Red Bus. The typical London Red Bus is in that area. We're running demos there periodically, so roughly every hour, 11, 12, 1. If you drop by our stand at any point, I would strongly recommend just have a look 1 minute at the product. I think it's going to be interesting. Feel free to write me an email, and also to test the product, we offer to everybody 1 month free trial. Just provide an email address, no payment information, very easy, email and you're in the product, and just have a look. I think even a 5 minutes experience is worth to have a look at something different in the market, I would say. So not much more on my side. I really want to thank you for being here and listening to this. I hope it's been interesting. So thank you very much.